back to Super DC Gaming, everyone. So, we're on our second Batman movie review today, and I'm excited because, as you can tell behind me, and by the time of the video, it is on my favorite Batman movie ever. Tim Burton's 1992 Batman Returns. The iconic sequel to Batman 89, or Batman, whatever you like to call it. Yeah, Batman 89 was such a big hit that they gave Burton the green light to make a sequel. And unlike the first one, which had some sort of creative control, not control, but some sort of like creative limitations, for Batman Returns, because of how successful the first movie was, they gave Burton the green light to just go all out with Batman Returns. They gave Burton the means to go all out with this one. So, yeah, very excited to talk about this movie because, as I've said, my favorite Batman movie ever. So, but before we begin, there are some things about the movie that I would like to discuss. First off, I always find it funny that the movie is a Christmas film, because, it's set around Christmas and all that, but it was released in June of 1992, not like November or December. It was released in June. I always find that funny that, and don't say it's not a Christmas movie, because it is. So anyways, this movie is, while the first movie was dark, Tim Burton style, this movie cranks it up to 100, because this movie is dark, demented, and has all the demented shenanigans Tim Burton to be. This is pretty much Tim Burton at his best. Like, this is like a Batman movie with Tim Burton going hog wild. So, the plot of the movie is, the Penguin, or Oswald Cobblepot. The movie opens up with, Penguin being born, but he was born like feral or something, and like his parents trap him in a cage. But then he eats the family cat or something, or like that's what you're led to believe. So because of that, the logical side is, do you want to give this kid up for adoption or something like that? Nah, those aren't logical. Throw him into a river. Like, they carry him in the baby stroller, and they just chuck him into the river. Leave him like that. Yeah, doing that to an infant. I would mean, like, is that what you would do to your baby if you don't want him anymore? I don't know. It should have been a Disney movie, because if this was like a Disney movie or anything like that, it would have been rated U. So, cut to some years later, it is, Christmas in Gotham City. We meet Bruce. Then we meet the star of the movie. We have Micheal Keaton as Bruce Wayne for Batman returning. Michelle Pfeiffer as Selina Kyle or Catwoman. Danny DeVito is Oswald Cobblepot the Penguin, and Christopher Walken as Max Shreck. Just need to get out of the way. So, with that in mind, it opens up, with Christmas in Gotham City, and Bruce Wayne is at, like, work, I believe, and he meets Max Shreck, played by Christopher Walken, and his dorky secretary, Selina Kyle. So basically, Max Shreck is this, like a businessman. Sorry about that, but Max Shreck's secret plan is to drain the energy from all of Gotham. So, and the funny thing about Max Shreck is, you could easily name this character Christopher Walken because of how much the character is like Christopher Walken himself. Nostalgia critics said this, but you could change the character's name to Christopher Walken, and I bet you no one would bat an eye. So, yeah, and then another thing we got to talk about is this gang comes to Gotham known as the Red Triangle Gang, which is like this like circus performing group. But reports on it is that anytime that these guys were around, children have gone missing. So Batman, goes out to discover what's going on. And I think this is a good time. Oh yeah, I want to talk about this because the Batman killing thing. People have very strict rules about Batman, such as he doesn't carry guns and he doesn't kill. Despite, especially in the Golden Age, etc., he's done that several times. He's carried a gun in. There's like a cover for Batman Year 2 where he has a gun. He's carried guns in the Golden Age. He's killed in his first appearance, I think. Done it several times in the past. But however, to excuse that, because I know I'm going to get comments about, oh, you hate Ben Affleck's Batman because he kills people, but he give the okay for Micheal Keaton to do it. This was in 1992. This was before the whole no killing rule thing was implemented. So because there was no rule for that to be implemented, there was no reason to. But any Batman iteration that has Batman kill after the rule was implemented, yes, I'm going to criticize. So, sorry for getting a little bit off track there, but then, while at the Max Shreck goes to the Gotham Zoo, and he comes across the Penguin. So, and a fact about this movie is that in the original script for it, Max Shreck and the Penguin were originally supposed to be brothers. Hence why, like, Max Shreck would have been the prosperous secondborn, with Penguin being the forgotten firstborn, which I think that actually that would have been a very interesting plot point. Yeah, I don't know why that didn't get in, but it just didn't, so now, when I said earlier about this movie being dark, this is basically like demented fairy tale shenanigans to the max. We'll talk about. So, in the scene where Max Shreck tries to kill Selina Kyle because she discovers what Max Shreck was wanting to do. He pushes her out the window and doesn't kill her, which, like, normally I would question, but it's a comic book movie and it's a Tim Burton movie, so I give it a pass in that regard. But yeah, because what happened to her, she goes home that night, and whenever, like, stuff that happened to her, just her being seen as dorky secretary, she crashes out, like, her crash, you know what I'm talking about. No, I need to say, when I watched this movie when I was younger, it didn't as much scare me. Like, I did find it a bit messed up, but I found it funny. Like, I found her, like, shoving her dolls, like her toys, down the garbage disposal, spray painting her dollhouse. It's messed up, but you can still see the comedy in it. Like, I still see, like, a demented bit of comedy in that. And even whenever Max Shreck pushed Selina Kyle out the window, the way he spoke before he did it was, you could have been like, knock knock, who's there? And then just push out the window. Just feel like that's how Christopher Walken would tell a joke. And the way the Penguin is written is, I would like to talk about this. So, the way Penguin is written, it's kind of like, Danny DeVito's my favourite live-action Penguin. More than Colin Farrell, but I like him just as much. But about Danny DeVito is, the way he's written is interesting because, he's written as a sex-hungry, monstrous maniac who abuses people. But at the same time, because of what happened to him as a kid, your he's written to be like, you're meant to feel sympathy for him. That would work in retrospect, but however, it's like at the end of not the end of the movie, but when it's revealed, like him wanting to know who his parents are, that's just like a ruse for what he actually wants to do. And what he actually wants to do is find all of Gotham's newborn babies to join them. So because of that, I don't really find myself really sympathizing with them much, just because like that, like I can't find myself sympathizing with that type of character. So like with him doing that. So, and there are a couple of things about Penguin that I do want to talk about. I want to know, like, how did he know to try and disassemble the Batmobile? Well, not disassemble, but put like the bombs on it. How did he know to do that? Speaking of which, that scene where he's takes control of the Batmobile and he actually built like a, you know, like them, you see them all where there's like the wee vehicles for like kids. I want to know how he managed to craft that all in that amount of time, and he's just sitting in it, like riding it, while the Batmobile itself goes crazy because, you know, he's controlling it with the thing attached to it. So anyways, I also like, there's also a bit in the movie where Bruce Wayne mentions to Alfred about them letting Vicky Vale into the Batcave in Batman 89, which, if you didn't know, fans for some reason didn't like that happened in Batman 89, so they just chose to do that as a point of reference for this movie. I'm not sure why they did that, but yeah, that just don't know. But also, I want to talk about some of the set design choices. So, I feel like the improvements in this film they made is, in the first movie, the Batmobile, like, it looked great, don't get me wrong, it'll always look good, but in Batman Returns, the Batmobile looked shinier. Like, it had like that sort of like cleaner, just shinier look. You know what I'm talking about? And then the Batmobile did get some mechanical upgrades where it can do that thing where it like goes up and it spins around with the fire. It can do that thing where two of its sides break off and it just goes straight through the alleyway. Yeah, like I did like how they chose to do that for the Batmobile, give it a lot of upgrades. And also the look of Gotham, I really love, because unlike, not to say like, in Batman Returns, Gotham is portrayed completely as this gothic, otherworldly, fairy tale type city. Which fits the tone of the movie. And to talk about like the gross stuff in the movie is because Penguin wanted to run for mayor in the movie, and then like in the scene where, you know, Max Shreck introduces like him to offer like his candidates, I guess you could say, and you know the scene where the Penguin bites the guy's nose off. Oh yeah, about that, you know, I can't make a Batman Returns review without touching on this. So I've talked about the demented stuff in this movie quite a bit. Now, if you're wondering why, it has some relevance to the movie, because reasons beyond me that Warner Brothers did this, but Warner Brothers did a marketing campaign for Batman Returns that involved promoting the movie via McDonald's Happy Meal toys. You know, you would get like, there was the Batmobile, like a toy you get in McDonald's Happy Meals. Why they did that was beyond me, because this movie, as great as it is not kid friendly, or at least not marketable in that way. So whenever like McDonald's received backlash for promoting this film, because, you know, it was deemed too dark for audiences, which, I mean, if you see what Penguin does, and Penguin biting a guy's nose off, the way Penguin's a sex-hungry maniac. Catwoman having a flippin' crash out before, you know, that was intense, but nearly as intense as Powder's crash out, although they're kind of completely different. Just not smart on Warner Brothers. Is not a smart move on Warner Brothers to market the movie that way. But another funny point about the movie I want to point out is the only reason the police called Batman was because like if someone like hit their car, and then like Gordon was like calling the bat signal. And then the way the bat signal was designed in this movie was pretty funny, because you have like one light here, one light there, and when they shine in, like the one would just shine into Bruce Wayne's library. How does that not give away the fact that Bruce Wayne is Batman? Because like Max Shreck at one point in the movie says, "Bruce Wayne, why are you dressed up like Batman?" And I'm like, how can you not piece together that he is Batman? Because you have him, like the bat, literally a version of the bat signal that is shining right into Wayne Manor. This does not, like, what would that say to you? But then again, comic book movie, so yes, you're not meant to question that kind of thing. But yeah, so, and also, Danny Elfman's music in the movie is great. It's definitely a lot more gothic in here than is the first one. It's a lot more, you know, more gothic, more eerier, which, you know, fits the tone of the movie perfectly. So, my final thoughts on Batman Returns. The greatest Batman movie ever made that still holds up to this day perfectly. Has the most fairy tale crazy shenanigans. In my opinion, Tim Burton's best movie. Better than The Dark Knight in my opinion. Yeah, the greatest Batman movie. The best Christmas movie in my opinion. Yeah, overall score, this is a 10 out of 10 movie. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think of this movie. But yeah, this is my absolute favorite Batman movie ever. Love it to death. Loved it ever since I was a kid. So, yeah, my favorite Batman movie. So, yeah, that's my review on Batman Returns. Peace out, guys.